Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. In today's video, I thought we could take a look at some of the things I'm doing to prepare for the January patch going live. We still have a few weeks, which although I am excited for it to go live, I am grateful for the time to prepare because I believe a few things are going to be important to do before it goes live. The first thing I would recommend everyone do, which I am also doing, is finishing my weapon skill leveling. Make sure all weapons are level 20, even ones you never thought you would use. The best place to do this is, of course, Defiler Excavation. The mob concentration here is just crazy, they are easy to kill, and you will max your weapons in no time at all. If this place is overpopulated, with other people farming, you can also go to Sunderfort. Basically what you are looking for is a place with high mob concentration, with monsters level 40 to 45, so find your favorite spot and get them done, wherever you choose to do it. You will regret it, I promise, if you do not. Now let's discuss the mutations and how to prepare, and why training those weapons was so important. The current mutated dungeons on the PTR are the Dynasty Shipyard, the Garden of Genesis, and the Lazarus Instrumentality. So it is more than a safe bet that those are the ones we can expect to roll out first on the live servers. These are not an easy endeavor, but if you are prepared, they won't nearly be as bad. First, it is important to understand the weapon types to use when. First, for Dynasty Shipyard, you are going to want to use weapons that do thrust damage, because Corrupt are very weak to it. These weapons include the bow, the musket, the spear, and the rapier. These weapon types will do a base 20% more damage while inside. Second, you could, if you had to, use slash damage weapons like the hatchet, the great axe, and the sword. However, these will not receive any weapon damage boost, but they will also not suffer any weakness either. Now, the weapons you definitely do not want to use here is the Warhammer and the Ice Gauntlet. The Warhammer will suffer a 15% damage debuff because Corrupt are strong against strike, so you will be hurting your whole team's chances right from the start, and the same applies to the Ice Gauntlet. Second, the Garden of Genesis. This instance is quite different, of course, because of the Angry Earth, so here any thrust damage weapons are off the table. Muskets, rapiers, bows, and spears will work against your team here greatly, reducing your damage potential. The weapons that will shine here, and make this a lot easier, are of course great axe, sword, hatchet, and fire staff. And finally, the Lazarus Instrumentality. Here the Warhammer is king, followed by the Void Gauntlet. You are not going to want to use any slash damage here, or fire staffs, because these weapons will of course be weak here, and your whole team will suffer for it. So now you see why I advised you get all those weapons leveled. You won't likely be using the same weapon each time a different mutation comes up, so be prepared to be trained in them all. Now for the gems. Gems are going to play a huge role in this update, and will mean the success or failure within the mutations. Everyone is quick to jump on using the elemental damage types associated with the strength weakness system in these mutations, but I feel like this may be a trap, for two reasons. For one, many of these mutations make the mobs within the dungeon very strong against elemental types, which could very well correspond with the gem they usually are weak to. This would screw you immediately. Second, elemental gems scale off intellect, and in many cases intellect does not fit well into a build. I feel like you would get a lot more benefit from using a combination of onyx and malachites and moonstones. This way your damage won't depend on intellect, and resistance does not come into the equation. However, if you are sure that your elemental damage will work, and you don't mind swapping gems for different situations or even have multiple weapons, then the elemental gems will work great. You are also going to want gear that has wards on it. Wards associated with Angry Earth, Corrupt, and Ancients, and of course later eventually Lost. You may be able to find these perks on armor now at a low cost, but after the update the price on this will increase. The downside here is you're going to struggle to find decent attributes and perks along with this ward, but in some cases the ward may serve you better than the attributes in that you'll be alive doing damage when otherwise you wouldn't. What I plan to do now, before prices change, is to buy all of the timeless shards I can get my hands on for my gear. Also, I am buying all of the items associated with the wards, brilliant corrupt insignia for Angry Earth, and so on. The reason I am doing this is because this will allow me to craft my own ward gear, having control over the attributes and the ward perk, then using max Azoth I can to craft 595 to 600 gear myself. And if I roll a 600, as we know after the update, it will also give me an expertise pump, so more benefit for my coin. This will also ensure that the gear I make will at least have my desired attributes, so in the end it will almost 100% be better than the straight buying gear just for wards. People are all in a rage about the expertise increase, but I would not get hung up on worrying about that too much. I mean, keep doing your daily gypsum and your chest zergs or whatever you are doing. But do not feel discouraged if you are not there yet. The early tiers of the mutations are difficult. However, having appropriately tuned gear with wards, resist gems, attributes, and correct weapon damage types will vastly be more important than just throwing on 600 gear score gear. And I can tell you, gear drops like candy in mutations, so your expertise will get bumps faster than you can even imagine, so you will be fine. Instead, what I would focus on with your time now is training your crafting skills, if you are behind on those. Things like armoring, stone cutting, arcana, and weaponsmithing are going to become a lot more important after this update, so being sure to have those maxed will put you in a far better position than simply being max expertise. Another very important and reasonably cheap thing to do to prepare at the moment is trophies. You are going to want to have basic combat trophies for all of the monster types. Fortunately, at this moment the trophy mats for these are almost free because up until now, people did not consider them important. So, I have been buying these up and stockpiling them, making 4 to 5 basic combat trophies at a time and selling them for 1,000 to 1,300 coins, depending on the daily market, and they always sell. This is a profit of a ridiculous scale considering I'm picking up these materials for 5 to 15 gold. But if you don't want to get into stockpiling and risking investment, that's perfectly understandable. But I would recommend at least getting one of each of these trophies for each of your homes. If you stack 3, that's a straight 12% damage increased against the monster types, which is huge. I will also be doing a lot of farming before this patch launches. Knowing the things that people are going to require to push deeper into mutations is important. And the super companies are going to be pushing, so I plan to be prepared with a large stock of these materials beforehand, because as the demand goes up for them, the price will of course skyrocket as well. And these things are not optional at the higher stages, so yes, the demand will go up considerably. People are going to require the ward potions, and require them in large supply. So I'm going to farm as much spinefish and earthshell turtles as I can get my hands on. The other materials are common, but these can't be substituted, so considering they are also used for topaz gypsum, you're going to start to see the supply dry up and the demand increase, so having a few hundred of these on hand, or more if I can manage it, will be amazing. Same with lightning beetles, blight moth dust, and salamander slime. These are the ingredients for the coatings for increasing your damage that can't be substituted, and again in this case also used in the topaz gypsum. So yeah, farm as many of these as you can possibly get your hands on, because these coatings are going to go from novelty to mandatory this patch. The demand for death motes and fire motes is going to go through the roof when this patch launches as well, so farm these in mass supply if possible. The reason for this is one honing stone will require a death quintessence and a fire quintessence, and honing stones, much like coatings, will be mandatory for the mutations after this patch. I also have stopped selling all Asmodium, all runic leather, glitterwood, and phoenix weave. However, I never miss a cooldown. The reason for this is because after the patch, crafters will receive an expertise bump for crafting a 600 gear score item, as you know. And after they reach 600 expertise, they will receive umbral shards for making a 600 gear score item. So you're going to see the prices for these cooldown items explode very, very quickly, because people will be burning through them non-stop to get their expertise to 600 quickly and to get umbral shards. Not to mention people crafting weapons with monster type damage perks, gear with ward perks, and so on. I believe crafting is going to just go crazy for a few days, maybe even weeks post-patch. And these materials are going to increase in value very, very quickly. So holding on to them to sell after the patch is going to be a smart move here. Anyway guys, just wanted to share my plans for preparing for the upcoming patch. And to answer those questions I've received from players asking what can I do to prepare? What should I focus on? So I hope this maybe helps. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.